Skywatchers, this is it. This is the day we get the first science images back from the James Webb Space Telescope, and you've got a front row seat to the cosmos. I'm Michelle Thaler, your host for what can only be described as a celebration for everyone on Earth. So think about this. Light from the earliest days of the universe has been traveling to us for billions of years. Just over the last few weeks, we've captured some of that light with a telescope that sees the universe in an entirely new way. And today we share the very first results. So longtime space fans are going to know who this is. This is Dr. John Mather. He's the senior project scientist for the Webb Telescope and a Nobel Prize winner. And John, I couldn't be happier to be here with you today.
Thank you. It's a thrill to be here for this very special day.
How are you feeling?
I am thrilled and I'm relieved because, you know, when you start something this big, you know there's always a possibility it might not work. It did work. We are so proud.
And you've been on this project for a very long time, right?
Yeah, started in 1995. We had just finished measuring the Big Bang. We measured it with the Cosmic Background Explorer satellite that we built right here at Goddard. And we measured the spectrum. We measured there are hot and cold spots in the Big Bang. So we said, now we know it all, how it all got started. But then what happened after that? So then I got a call from NASA headquarters. Would I like to work on this new telescope that's going to help answer those questions? What happened after the Big Bang? How did the galaxies grow? How did the first black holes grow? What happened all the way from there to here? So this is our time machine, and I just wanted to be part of it. I am so thrilled that we got a chance to do it.
One of the things that I remember you saying, and this is kind of amazing, that after you win the Nobel Prize, you thought that this mission was the most important thing to work on.
Absolutely. It's the next question. After you know how it started, what happened then? And, you know, suddenly we now have the technology to do it. We didn't have 50 years ago. We didn't have the technology 25 years ago, even when we started this. We had to invent things along the way, so we did that. And here it is.
Well, thank you. We'll be back to you in just a moment. So at the moment, we're going to talk about the way that Webb is a completely new way to explore the universe. So today, the mission releases its first science images and gives wings to the dreams of so many people who worked so hard for so long to make this possible. For everyone on Earth, this is your telescope. This is the largest, most powerful observatory ever put into space. It's the product of thousands of people working for more than 2 decades. This is a mission that's singularly focused on the biggest questions in science. So the following phrase is often used too easily, but today actually does mark the dawn of a new era. Today, the Webb mission is open for scientific business, and this is just the beginning. The best is yet to come. So, John, one of the things you told me about is that you really want to make sure there are some people that get thanked, people that put a huge amount of effort into this.
Absolutely. Our current project manager, Bill Oakes, took the project from a time of trouble when we didn't exactly know how we were going to get this to work and got it all the way to the end. Here it is working, and it's because of Bill made this worldwide team, 20,000 people around the world were involved in making this thing all work, and Bill has been there every day.
مستقیم از جریان نشر عمیق ترین، دقیق ترین و بهترین عکس های منتشر شده توسط ناسا که توسط تلسکوپ فضایی جیمز گرفته شده است.
That we would go up and fix it. She made sure that happened. When the Webb telescope needed more resources, she made sure we could get that. So, Barbara, we thank you.
Well, it is such an honor to be with you, Jay. I mean, it's been a pleasure to be working with you through this whole thing. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and go Webb.
Thank you.
So, this broadcast, much like every part of this mission,
شما تا لحظات دیگر بیننده اولین عکس هایی خواهید بود که توسط تلسکوپ قدرتمند جیمز وب گرفته شده و توسط شرکت ناسا به صورت زنده و مستقیم نشر می شود و ما از طریق کانال بام دنیا این عکس ها را به شما همچنان منعکس کرده و نشان خواهیم داد.
Wonderful, wonderful. Right across from the campus from me, there's also a huge watch party taking place with members of the web team. So the wonderful thing is that they actually are people that have worked on the mission, and they are part of our NASA Funny family. So hello web team. There they are. Yes. A lot of people I recognize there.
در مورد از اینکه تلسکوپ جیمز توسط کدام شرکت ها با همکاری شرکت ناسا توسط کدام کشورها ساخته شده، چقدر بودجه مصرف تلسکوپ شده، کدام زمان پرتاب شد و چه مأموریت ها و چه مسئولیت هایی داره. ما ویدیوهای مختلفی ساختیم که از طریق کانال بام دنیا شما میتونید همه ویدیوها در مورد تلسکوپ قدرتمند و خارق العاده جیمز وب را تماشا کنید.
And by the end of the show, all 5 images will be available to everyone. So hopefully you can tell I'm excited. Okay, so let's do this.
It's really, there's so much detail here. We're seeing these galaxies in a way that we've never been able to see before. There's just a sharpness and a clarity we've never had. And so we can look at, if we zoom in on this image, and I encourage you as you grab this image at home, like zoom in. You can, really zoom in and play around. There are galaxies here in which you're seeing individual clusters of stars forming, popping up just like popcorn. And then We also see in the background of this image, kind of littered like jewels all over the back of the image, are these faint red galaxies. Now, that was what we built the telescope to do. The most distant of those are billions of years. We're seeing as they looked more than 13 billion years ago. And so galaxies like that one right there, this little red guy, you're like, okay, yep, what is that? Well, Webb got spectra to figure out what those galaxies are made of, and this is that one. We're seeing as it looked 13.1 billion years in the past, less than a billion years after the Big Bang, and we're seeing the elements of oxygen and hydrogen as well as neon. You know, this is how the oxygen in our bodies was made in stars, in galaxies, and we're seeing that process get started.
I want to give this a little bit of context. So this is now the farthest away galaxy that we have this sort of detailed information about.
That we know what it's made of.
We know what it's made of.
Yes.
And this was not a long exposure for Webb.
No, the previous record holder, right, the Hubble Extreme Deep Field, was 2 weeks of continuous work with Hubble, and it was just imaging. With Webb, we took that image before breakfast. The amazing thing about Webb is the speed at which we can churn out discoveries. So everything that you're going to see here in this broadcast is a week, and we're going to be doing discoveries like this every week.
That is absolutely incredible, Jane. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been an honor to be working with you. Congratulations on all your hard work.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to see it pay off.
So thank you, and I'll see you later on today, I hope. So
yes.
Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Right. So from distant galaxies, we now turn our eye to something a bit closer. It's a planet, but not one in our solar system. Remember that Earth and its sibling planets aren't the only show in the universe. When scientists and engineers started developing JWST, the search for exoplanets wasn't even part of the plan. That's changed. Exploring exoplanets is now a major component of the mission and the subject of our second big reveal of the day. I'm going to send it now to our friends Natalie Willette and Sarah Gallagher at the Canadian Space Agency in Montreal. So again, bonjour. Okay. Yep, we're all ready. Yeah. Okay, I apologize. We're having some trouble with the signal from Canada. But luckily for us, we have an exoplanet expert right here, just in case that happened. So this is Nicole Colon, and she's an exoplanet scientist at NASA. And we're going to talk about this amazing new result from a very hot planet, I understand about 1,000 light years away.
That's right. The exoplanet is named WASP 96b, and it is this hot, gaseous, giant, puffy planet that it is about 1,000 light years away. So that's why today's release is so exciting, because it teases out what that is going to do for such a distant.
Absolutely. So talk us through what this discovery is and why this is so significant.
Mm-hmm. Well, this reveal that you're going to see is going to show the first spectrum of an exoplanet as taken from the Webb telescope. And this is exciting because it covers infrared wavelengths of light that we have not had access to before. So we've been able to use other telescopes to explore exoplanet atmospheres in the infrared, but not to this level of detail. And this is just one sliver of data that Webb is providing us using the nearest instrument specifically.
And there's something about infrared that is actually particularly good for the spectrum. So in this case, what we're doing is we're actually going to take the light and break it up into a rainbow and look very, very carefully at how much color is coming in each part of the spectrum. So I believe we have that image, if we can put that up.
Okay, yes, I believe we're revealing the spectrum right here. So we now have our spectrum, and this is exactly what you're seeing. As you just described with spectroscopy, what we did was we observed a transit of an exoplanet. We observed the planet as it passed in front of the star. Now, mind you, this is not a direct image. This is an indirect image. So we've seen the effect of what happens when the planet and its atmosphere passes in front of the star. The starlight filters through the atmosphere, and then you can break that down into wavelengths of light, and you get a bunch of what looks like bumps and wiggles to some people, but it's actually full of information content. So you're actually seeing bumps and wiggles that indicate the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere of this exoplanet.
So we have the spectrum up here. Is there anything you'd like to highlight particularly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have several features marked here. So I call them features. They are these of water vapor in these atmospheres, in the atmosphere of this specific exoplanet. And the other thing we can tell actually is that there's evidence of clouds and hazes because the water features are not quite as large as we predicted. So we can take that and infer that there are presence of clouds and hazes.
Right. Now, one thing that we really want to make sure people understand is with this particular planet, this is a hot world. It's actually closer to its star than Mercury is to our sun. And so we're not looking at liquid water here, but we're looking instead at sort of steam, water vapor.
Yes, this is an exoplanet. It's about the size of Jupiter, about half the mass of Jupiter. It orbits around a sun-like star, but it does it every about 3.5 days. Right. So it's extremely hot, extremely close in, nothing like our solar system planets. But that's okay, because what we're seeing is, again, the first exoplanet data from Webb, and this is just the beginning. We're going to start pushing down to further smaller planets and being able to take measurements just like this with the NIRS instrument that was built by the Canadian Space Agency, but also there's three other science instruments that will add to our knowledge in the infrared, as well as direct imaging modes along with the transit method. So there's a lot more to come.
And I guess one thing we should mention is not only are we going to be looking at planets that are more like the Earth in the future, but we'll also be looking at planets in our own solar system.
Absolutely, yes. We're going to have exciting data from planets in our solar system, from Mars outward, as well as asteroids and comets. So stay tuned for a lot more to come.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much for telling us about the spectrum, and I'll be seeing you later on today. So we have 3 more big image reveals, and with that, new and more exciting science. But first, let's take a look back at the journey that brought us to this moment. Celebrations like this one are only possible with years of hard work from a cast of thousands. When a new mission is being built, even the most enthusiastic space fans only get to see dramatic moments in its life cycle, the news and images that come out in updates and press releases. But that doesn't really give you the sense of the huge effort that goes on behind the scenes every day. The plans, schedules, and organization to keep everything moving forward really happens, for the most part, out of people's gaze. Webb started as an idea that took root at NASA Goddard. It grew first into planning teams, research projects, schematics, requirements. Then it began the long journey to become real with the development of new technologies, cutting-edge engineering, and finally fabrication, putting it all together. Let's take a brief look back at the visionary journey to how we
دوستای عزیز در کامنت برای ما بنویسین صدای ما را شفاف و واضح میشنوین دارین؟ یه لایف نیست من نه سر من اسود گوش کردی نه لایف نبود من دوستای عزیز، اگر که صدای ما را به صورت شفاف و واضح میشنوین لطفا در کامنت تایید کنید تا اطلاعات مربوط به این برنامه را به شما به صورت صوتی تشریح کنم. لطفا اگر صدای ما را میشنوین و صدای ما را واضح دارین در کامنت برای ما یک تاییدی بنویسین.
The four different science instruments for web, and what would highlight the four major science themes for web. And it's a celebration as well of the beginning of science observations.
And we knew that selecting the images was just the beginning, that we would need a trained eye to take these exquisite data and pull out the beauty and the science potential. So here's Jody Pasquale and Elisa Pagan to tell you about how they processed these beautiful images. And they have to go downstairs. I think they missed some of that beginning.
We're basically translating light that we can't see into light that we can see by applying color like red, green, and blue to the different filters that we have from web. And the reason we want to color the images is because there's actually more that you can get, more information that you can get from the image if you see it in color.
So it's a matter of picking and choosing filters and colors that enhance the details and the structure in the image itself.
The shortest wavelengths of infrared light and assign those blue colors, and then move our way down to green and red as we go to longer and longer wavelengths.
And then we additively combine those together to get our full color image.
But there is a lot of aesthetics that are involved in this. And painstakingly going through and cleaning these images up with an attention to detail, a level of detail like at the pixel level in every image.
So when I'm working on the astronomical data, it is this sort of marriage between art and science. When you're choosing colors for the filters, you really are trying to show the different details and the processes that are happening in the astronomical images. But at the end of the day, you want it to be very compelling. You want it to be very beautiful because space is beautiful.
And after those images were processed, there was a select few of us, very lucky few of us, who who got to see the first images.
Because it's downscaled by a factor of 4. Exactly. So just to make it a little more handy, so it's actually higher resolution. So we have a team of about 30 people who are producing these images, and we feel incredibly privileged to be the ones who are the first to see these science-like images. When we saw the first data come down of real targets, people were speechless, and there were emotions, because we could see how amazing this observatory will be. The detail, the sharpness, the depth. And when we saw the first color images, we knew that we had a winner.
And now we are ready to see Webb's first image of a star dying, a planetary nebula called the Southern Ring. Let's do it.
Oof.
Wow, wow. This near-infrared image is, wow, the detail. Oh. Wow, okay, well, here we are. We have a near-infrared image on our left, or on maybe your right. And here on the right, we have a near-infrared image. And so I'm here with Carl, our astronomer specialist. Can you tell us what we're looking at in these images?
So this is a planetary nebula. It's caused by a dying star that has expelled a large fraction of its mass over in successive waves.
Okay, so we actually see those waves in these images.
Yes.
Wow. And so there's a lot of structure. Can you tell us a little more detail about what we're looking? Maybe start with this one on the left.
Yeah. So in the NIRCam image, you see this kind of bubbly, almost foamy appearance throughout the whole nebula with some very structured shells. And this foaminess is showing up in orange mainly, and this is due to the molecular hydrogen that's newly formed in the expansion, just lighting up the gas and dust of this nebula. And then as we move inward, you see this kind of very blue haze in the inner region. And this is actually due to very hot ionized gas that emits well in the blue, that's heated by the core, the leftover very hot core of this star.
And what about these rays that I'm seeing in this image?
Right there. So there's also rays in the outer regions that you can kind of see, and these are holes in the inner nebula that are actually allowing the central star's light to come out and kind of light it up like, patchy clouds with the sun shining through.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's what it looks like. That's so cool. So you're actually a mid-infrared astronomer, which is different than near-infrared. And so what can you tell us about the details in this mid-infrared image?
So it looks quite different in color, partly because we're seeing different kinds of physics going on here. So we're actually seeing in the blue, you see a lot of blue. The blue is actually due to hydrocarbon grains that are emitting very strongly in the blue from mirroring. And they show the very similar structures to what we see in orange and NIRCam because the molecular hydrocarbon actually forms on the surface of dust grains. And so again, as we move inward, we see that the inner region is again hot ionized gas, but now it glows red.
که چند سال قبل گرفته شده بود و یکی عکسی است که جدید توسط تلسکوپ جیمز وب گرفته شده. عکسی که سمت راست تصویر می‌بینید توسط تلسکوپ جیمز وب گرفته شده و پس از اینکه توسط کارمندان ناسا مقدار ادیت شده دوباره منتشر شده. این عکسی که فعلا در روی صفحه نمایش داده میشه مانند یک حباب پخش شده در فضاست. رنگ‌های آبی را که شما می‌بینید در حقیقت هیدروژن هستند که در فضا وجود دارد و یک نقطه از میان کهکشان‌هایی هست که توسط تلسکوپ فضایی جیمز وب عکسبرداری شده.
And it points very much to the central sources. So I thought, this must just be a density enhancement in the outer nebula. I thought that very, very strongly, but other people on the team were like, no, it's a background edge on galaxy. Well, I made a bet that said, no, it's part of the nebula. By the way, I lost the bet because then we looked more carefully at both the NIRCam and MIRI images, and it's very clearly an edge on galaxy with a dust lane and a bulge. So I lost the bet.
Well, you lost the bet, but you got these gorgeous images, so I think it's a win for everybody. Anything else you'd like to say today?
I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Neither can I. All right. Thanks so much. Back to you, Michelle.
نشر مستقیم برنامه را که تماشا میکنین به صورت مشترک بین شرکت رسانه‌ای ناسا و همچنان شرکت فضایی اروپا منتشر میشه. از دو استودیو و از دو مقر مختلف به صورت مستقیم در حال نشر است. و ما کوشش میکنیم با وجود محدودیت امکانات و مشکلات تکنیکی که فعلا با آن مواجه هستیم تا حد امکان معلومات تازه در مورد با شما مشترک در اشتراک بگذاریم.
Guess nothing from Perth right now. Maybe we have some of our other feeds. We're going to check in with them right now. Do we have Winnipeg, Canada? Oh, there it is. There's Australia. There's Perth. Hey, waving to Perth, Australia. Thank you so much for joining us.
عکسی که شما فعلا می‌بینید از شرکت فضایی استرالیا منتشر شده و می‌بینید که کارمندان شرکت فضایی استرالیا در داخل دفتر خود نشستن و عکس‌هایی که توسط ناسا و شرکت فضایی اروپا منتشر میشه از تلسکوپ جیمز را به صورت گروهی تماشا میکنند. و این تصویری هست که از شهر اوهایوی آمریکا منتشر شده و تعدادی از کودکان را نشان میده که در مصروف تماشای این عکس‌ها هستند و همچنان تصاویری منتشر شده از هند هست. دانش آموزای از هند را نشان میده که بسیار خوشحالی میکنند.
Okay, so I hope you enjoy the rest of the images we're releasing. Okay, of course, NASA's family extends all over the country. The team at JPL in Pasadena, California, they're on site to celebrate with us. So hello, JPL! My favorite people in the world. Hey, hello!
اگر به صورت شفاف و واضح صدای مرا میشنوین شما مخاطبای عزیز کانال بام دنیا، یک نکته ای را به شما مطرح کنم است که گوینده ها، نطاق ها و همچنان کارمندای ناسا وقتی که همراهشون مصاحبه میشه شرکت ناسا را به عنوان خانواده ناسا یا فامیل ناسا معرفی میکنند. یعنی کار تیمی و کار گروهی در این شرکت به حد نزدیک و صمیمی است که همه با همدیگر به صورت فامیل کار میکنند.
Okay, wonderful. So, I mean, at NASA, we are so fortunate to have all of these friends and colleagues around the globe. A major partner in the Webb mission is the European Space Agency. ESA contributions have been essential to so many aspects of this project, including Webb's spectacular launch on the Ariane 5 rocket last December. I'm very pleased to turn over the show for a few minutes to Katie Haswell. She's joining me from the European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, Germany. Hello, Katie. Good afternoon.
مخاطبای عزیز بام دنیا، عصر شما هم بخیر. در هر کجای دنیای پهناور که هستید سالم و سلامت و سرحال باشین و همچنان بیننده کانال بام دنیا باشین با ادامه نشر مستقیم عکس های جیمز وب. این تصویری که فعلا میبینین از شرکت فضایی اروپا است ESA. تلسکوپ فضایی جیمز وب به همکاری کشور کانادا، شرکت فضایی ناسا که مقرش در امریکا است و شرکت فضایی اروپا یا ESA ساخته شده.
have been working on the Webb Space Telescope for a long time, so we're very grateful to have you with us. Thanks, folks. We are excited to reveal our image with you. But before we do that, we thought we'd give you a little bit of background, because we've come here today because these guys were the first ones to pick up the signal during the Webb launch, when Webb first launched. They run a system called S-Track, which is NASA's deep space tracking system, and they were listening out when Webb called home. And the controllers here have been looking after a whole very, very impressive list of missions since 1968. ESA has played a very, very important role during the web for the Webb Space Telescope. They provided the launch on board the awesome Ariane 5
تلسکوپ
launch vehicle
فضایی
from the
جیمز
Guiana
وب،
Space Center.
پرتاب این
The
تلسکوپ
atmosphere in the Mission Control Center
و
was
مستقر شدن این
electric,
تلسکوپ
I can tell you. I
در
was there.
فاصله
And
میلیون
they've
ها سال
also
نوری از
provided
ما
people. We have 15
یک دستاورد
ESA
بسیار
scientists
بزرگ
working at
و
Space
موفقانه
Telescope in
برای
Baltimore. And
دنیای
also
علم و
they have
دنیای
provided
نجوم در سراسر
the,
جهان است.
infrared spectrograph, the near-infrared spectrograph, and also half of the MIRI instrument, which is the mid-infrared.
از تلسکوپ فضایی جیمز وب به عنوان چشم انسان در فضا نزدیک می‌کنند. شما در این قسمت تصویر از نحوه ساخت، طراحی، دیزاین، آماده کردن، آزمایش‌ها و همه پروسه‌های که توسط دانشمندان بالای تلسکوپ جیمز وب انجام شده مشاهده می‌کنید. می‌بینید که نور چطور وارد آینه‌ها و سپس وارد محراق و سپس وارد دستگاه جاسازی شده در تلسکوپ می‌شود.
Webb's integrated science instrument module, located behind the main mirror, also contains MIRI, a mid-infrared camera and spectrograph. Seen here during testing, MIRI's been developed by a partnership between Europe and the US. MIRI detects mid-infrared light from planets, stars and galaxies. It can analyze molecules to help us
اگر به خاطر داشته باشین چند روز پیش یک شهاب سنگ با یکی از آینه‌های تلسکوپ فضایی جیمز وب برخورد کرد که مقداری خسارت به یکی از آینه‌های تلسکوپ وارد کرد، اما شرکت ناسا اخیراً اعلام کرده که این خسارت نمیتواند باعث مختل شدن کار و فعالیت تلسکوپ فضایی جیمز وب شود.
So let's get ready to reveal our image. And remember that one of Webb's jobs is to find out about galaxies, more about the galaxies, but also to help us to understand how they change. And this image is going to be very, very useful for that. Let's reveal it now. There it is. It's called Stefan's Quintet, and it's wondrous. Giovanna, what are we looking at?
Yes, like it's a quintet.
این عکس چهارتایی که شما فعلا در تصویر می‌بینید به نام جواناست و یک، دو، سه، چهار و پنج گالاکسی را در حال چرخ خوردن به دور همدیگر نشان میده.
In fact, we live in one of them, the Milky Way. And here we see 5 of them. This is a closer galaxy in the foreground. And these 4 are at a distance of about 300 million light years from us. And they're locked in a close interaction. A sort of
کهکشانی که در سمت راست تصویر می‌بینید هزاران یا صدها ستاره و نور درخشان در اطراف از این پراکنده شده و گرداننده از این یا کسی که عکس تشریح میکنه و شما میگه که در اطراف از این 5 کهکشان یا 4 کهکشانی که عکس برداری شده میلیون ها ستاره و میلیون ها منبع نور وجود داره.
Mark, there's a lot going on though in this image, isn't there?
There is. So this is a near-infrared image.
I love this image of the cosmic dance moving through each other. Mark, there's a lot going on though in this image, isn't there?
There is. So this is a near-infrared image.
with near spec, we can zoom into this area, and we have this technology that allows us to take thousands of images at different wavelength channels, so see this distribution of the gas, what's going on in the gas in different regions of this core area, and understand the composition of the gas, the velocities, the temperature. So that's very important to understand the physics.
So it's giving us so much information, and it just shows the power of this telescope. Mark, this is just the beginning, though, isn't it?
I think that's a very important takeaway from today. You know, these are like pictures just taken over a period of 5 days, and every 5 days we're getting more data, which will contribute more in that direction. It's a culmination of decades of work, but it's just the beginning of decades. And you know what we've seen today with these images is essentially that we're ready now. This telescope is working fantastically well, and you know, to borrow a phrase from a famous rock musician, you know, we're ready to turn this telescope up to 11. It really is time. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much indeed, both of you. Back to you, Michelle.
Thanks, Katie. It is so great to have you and your colleagues with us on this historic day. So before we get to the fifth and final image reveal of the day, it cannot be said enough that an achievement like the James Webb Space Telescope is something bigger than any one of us. It's bigger than any organization, any country. This truly takes a planet. Webb belongs to all of us, and starting today, the discoveries start and they're not going to stop. This is just the beginning. We've said several times throughout the broadcast that the Webb mission is about people, and during the construction of the Great Telescope, people started to see themselves in it, literally. Day after day, people visited the observation window at NASA Goddard, and looking through the glass, they snapped selfies of themselves reflected in the gigantic golden mirror. These photos are actual reflections of the enormous human investment and the emotional commitment that brought this mission.
مخاطبای عزیز کانال بام دنیا، اگر به خاطر داشته باشین در ویدیوهایی که در مورد تلسکوپ فضایی جیمز منتشر کردیم گفته بودیم که آینه هایی که برای تصویربرداری از فضا در تلسکوپ جاسازی شده با دقت میلیمتر، حتی صدم میلیمتر جابجا میشن و قدرت عیار شدن دارند.
So Amber Strawn is Webb's deputy project scientist. She's here with me today to share the final big reveal of the day. So Amber, it is so good to see you. How are you feeling?
Oh, so great, so exciting. What a great day this is.
So one of the things that we're going to do is before we get to the final image, the James Webb
قد که اینترنت بیاید دقیقا
is before we get to the final image, the James Webb.
I always tell everybody I'm paid to worry, frankly. And that's good. What we want to do, though, is, just really thank the team again. Of course, we heard Bill and Scott and Greg talking about the team that is there. I think what's also important is to recognize that Bernie is sitting there. He was the first manager. I was sitting there. Could you stand up? And I want to mention that Phil Sablehouse, who was a manager also during that time, is no longer with us, but his heart is with us today. Yeah. I have to tell you, John, after each one of these milestones, I called a lot of people. I called Bernie, for example, and I called people who had my job and people who are
دوستان عزیز و مخاطبان عزیز کانال بام دنیا در جریان باشند که بعد از نشر این برنامه خلاصه و مهمترین مطالبی که نشر شده و حتی یک ویدیوی بسیار مفصل و زیبا در مورد این عکس‌ها ساخته و برای شما منتشر خواهیم کرد. حتما همراه و بیننده کانال بام دنیا باشید و اگر کانال ما را سبسکرایب نکردین همین حالا دکمه سبسکرایب را فشار بدین.
And then when we didn't have quite enough money to build, we pulled it all together and made it get all the way to the end. I am so thrilled that we had so much talent to draw on. And here we are, we have the support of the country and the world to take on this immense challenge.
You know what I'm most excited about? There's tens of thousands of scientists, and frankly, some of them just got born or not even born, who are benefiting from this amazing telescope because it will be with us for decades.
It will be. It took us about 25 years to get here since 1995, and we have at least 25 to go, I hope.
So look, we are in a sense of these images, the art that is out there in the sky, revealed for the first time. We're thinking of the team and we're thanking them. John, thanks to you, thanks to all of you, and back to Michelle.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And this entire collection continues to just absolutely astound me. Okay, Amber, so here it is. Can you walk us through the final image reveal?
Absolutely. Here we go.
Last image is, wow, look at that. So Amber, can you tell us a bit about what we're seeing here?
Of course. This stunning vista of the cosmic cliffs of the Carina Nebula reveals new details about this vast stellar nursery. Today, for the first time, we're seeing brand new stars that were previously completely hidden from our view.
There's something you want to point out here?
Absolutely. So honestly, it took me a while to even figure out what to call out in this image. There's just so much going on here. It's so beautiful. One thing that really stands out to me is you sort of get this sense of depth and texture from this new data. There's a lot going on. To call out a few specifics, first of all, in general, the Carina Nebula, a nearby star-forming region within our own Milky Way galaxy, about 7,600 light years away. And in this view, we see some great examples, first of all, of hundreds of new stars that we've never seen before. We see examples of bubbles and cavities and jets that are being blown out by these newborn stars. We even see some galaxies sort of lurking in the background up here. We see examples of structures that, honestly, we don't even know what they are. Like, what's going on here? The data is just so rich.
There's something really special about the infrared. Infrared can actually see deeper into these star-forming regions.
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about infrared is it really does reveal what's going on here in a really cosmic sense. And in general, what's happening in sort of this overall landscape is we have these gigantic, hot, young stars up here to the top of this rim, and the radiation and stellar winds from those stars is sort of pushing down and running into all of this. This is gas and dust, and of course we know that gas and dust is great raw material for newborn stars and baby planets. But there's a flip side to this story and also a little bit of a mystery because these same processes can serve to sort of erode away this material and stop star formation. So we have this sort of delicate balance going on of new stars being formed, but at the same time the star formation is being halted. And for me, when I see an image like this, I can't help but think about scale. You know, every dot of light we see here is an individual star
not unlike our sun, and many of these likely also have planets. And it just reminds me that, you know, our sun and our planets and ultimately us were formed out of the same kind of stuff that we see here. We humans really are connected to the universe. We're made of the same stuff in this beautiful landscape.
And actually, the Carina Nebula was one of my favorite images from Hubble. So Hubble looked at this as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The Hubble image of this is also spectacular. We saw it in a different kind of light when Hubble took an image of this particular nebula. And then you can see amazing things with Hubble, but when we zoom into this new image, we're able to see so much more detail. And of course, all of us, you know, I grew up on Hubble, and all of us love Hubble. And I'm so excited to see what these two amazing observatories are able to do really
تماشا میکنید یکی از ابرهای نیبولا که توسط تلسکوپ فضایی هابل گرفته شده بود و اما حالا به صورت شفافتر عکسی است که توسط جیمز گرفته شده و به شما نشان داده شد.
So we've gone all the way from the birth of stars, and we have all the way from the distant galaxies to the birth of stars. This is where we all began. This was the whole point of the James Webb Space Telescope, to figure out our origins from the very, very early days of the universe to star and planet formation very nearby. So right now I'm very honored to have our last special guest. This is the administrator of NASA, Bill Nelson. I'm honored to be with you, sir.
What a pleasure. What a banner day. It's clear that Webb represents the best of NASA. It maintains our ability to propel us forward for science, for risk-taking, for inspiration. And we don't want to ever stop exploring the heavens, nor stop daring to take another step forward for humanity. In the words of the famous Carl Sagan, somewhere, something incredible is waiting to be known. I think those words are becoming reality. Thanks, Michelle.
An honor to have you here. Thank you very much. Wow. So, this is a celebration for all humanity. If you've ever looked up at the night sky and wonder, whoever you are, wherever you are, this is your telescope. And we also salute the thousands of people who have dedicated part of their lives to making Webb a reality. I also want to give a big shout out for the superb media team who's helped bring Webb's story to the world. This broadcast is a joint effort of the superstar producers, animators, and social media specialists at the Canadian Space Agency, ESA, NASA, and especially the Goddard Space Flight Center. Webb captures light in distant colors that the eye can't see, and you've actually made this visible to the world. So finally, if you go to nasa.gov/webfirstimages, you can download all of the images and data we've just shown in full resolution and check back often. From now on, we share new discoveries and exciting new destinations around the universe. July 12th, 2022 marks a huge
پایان میرسه و ما هم از حضور شما خداحافظی میکنیم. منتظر ویدیوها و برنامه‌های بعدی از کانال بام دنیا باشین. سبسکرایب و لایک برنامه‌ها و ویدیوهای ما را فراموش نکنین